Questions? Who has some questions on this topic, or on any topic really, to be honest? It doesn't have to be on this topic alone. Salam alaikum.
Thank you for everything. How long did it take you to learn Arabic when you first started?
So I learned Arabic full-time. So you have to bear in mind when I give you the answer, I'm giving you the answer for full-time study. It took me 2 years to graduate, full-time study, and a year to build fluency. So the 2 years was like the vocab and the exposure to the language and grammar and syntax. And then a year of putting it into practice. Like a year of mixing with native speakers and just putting it into practice before I felt that I was at full speed. And I think everyone has to do it. If you're going to learn Arabic yourself, probably you'll get to a certain point, and after that you've just got to go and mix with people and implement it. But I don't think mixing with people at the beginning necessarily is all that helpful. You just kind of learn the language and the structure first, and then when you get to a certain amount of proficiency, you can go and mix with people, and you can basically get up to a level of fluency. At least I think fluency is relative, to be honest. I'm not sure if we sat here discussing politics that my Arabic would be all that fluent, you know, because you're fluent in what you are used to speaking about. But yeah, relative fluency, 2 years, 3 years, 2.5 years, something like that, inshallah. But that's full time. Part time, you know, maybe double that. Maybe double that it would have taken. But that's still, you know, 5 years. I mean, how many of you 5 years ago said, I'm going to learn Arabic, I'm going to learn Arabic, I'm going to learn Arabic, and 5 years later you're still sitting here saying, I'm going to learn Arabic. So the point is that 5 years is still not that bad. It's a decent achievement. If in 5 years you finish and you get to a level of fluency in 5 or 6 years in Arabic, that's really something praiseworthy and achievable, inshallah. Who else has a question? From the sisters. Mm.
Like there are housewives or from the women, or if they are not, they're already maybe working and then just coming taking some courses to learn more. So I missed. You said that if so even if you're university, you join there, because from my experience is that when you come to different classes, as you said, if you're not you don't have to really learn it sometimes. It's like when you're in university, there's exams and there's a time limit, so you really achieve more.
That's true. I'm not sure about any specific university. Like I wouldn't be able to comment on one that I haven't been to. But when you attend an institute, you definitely get motivated. But what I kind of wanted to point out is you don't need to attend one. Like if you don't attend one, you can still learn. It's not that much of a barrier. You just have to be more dedicated to learning than if you attend one. But even if you attend an institute or a university, you still need to have this private study plan, because that university will not give you everything. In fact, what I described about the whole plan and all the different topics, even in a university where you do 4 years full-time study, you will not get even half of that, because the university has to stick to its terms, schedules. You know, for example, I went to Kulliyat al-Hadith, the faculty of Hadith in the Islamic University of Medina in Saudi Arabia. And imagine it's a faculty that specializes in Hadith. And we only covered like 150 Hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari, 150 Hadith in Sahih Muslim, like 150 Hadith in each of the 4 Sunan, plus a full book of Hadith from beginning to end in rulings. But that's nothing. You know, that's a faculty that specializes in Hadith, and you're covering like 2,000 Hadith in total from beginning to end. In the Kutub al-Sitta, there are 33,000 and something odd Hadith in the 6 books of Hadith, of which you're covering 2,000. It's not even a drop in the ocean. So even when you go to a university, what you'll find is that university will not give you everything. They'll not give you a private study plan. They'll not take you through every book you need. They'll be doing a book and just do half of it, or just do 3 or 4 pages from it, or 10 pages from it, and then move on to another one. You have to still have the dedication to finish those books yourself and to seek help from the teacher outside of the university. Otherwise, the university itself, it doesn't give you everything you need. And that's why when people graduate from these famous Islamic universities, they don't graduate as scholars. That's why they don't graduate as scholars. Because ultimately, they're getting 10 pages out of a 600-page book. It's their responsibility as to whether they finish that book. The university is just going to give you the bits that you need. And after that, it's going to be your responsibility to take it further. That's why these institutes don't produce scholars, because they don't go from beginning to end, as opposed to the traditional Islamic way of learning, where you do go from beginning to end. You go from the beginning of the book to the end of the book, then you get an ijazah in the book. Then you go from the beginning of the book to the end of the next book and you get an ijazah. You go from the beginning to the end, you get... That way you do get scholars, because people literally finish all of the books under the guidance of a teacher, but that's not easy for everyone to do. So you make best use of what is available to you, but you still need to have your own study plan.
So in the older days, there were universities that they would finish like books and or like why would they? I mean, that sounds like a better plan. Why would they?
They changed to in order to match the standards of Western academia. And that's not their fault. I mean, they wanted their students, when they graduate, to be able to, to be able to say, you have graduated with something that is comparable to someone who graduated from engineering or someone who graduated from medicine. And they wanted it to be, they wanted it to be comparable to the international standard. And so they put it into that. And also,
Do they have to do this? I mean, it's not. That is what we are suffering even here with the schools, because the schools here are all following like UK, America, their standards. Even the local school here is following the British which is only translated. So why wouldn't Muslims make programs for themselves the way that it suits them?
yeah, well, this is a very valid point. It's a very valid point. What Muslims had a system of study that was better than what exists in the universities today, and unfortunately, like Allah Azza wa Jalla said, تستبدلون الذي هو أدنى بالذي هو خير. And they changed that which was good for that which was not as good. But at the same, we don't say there's no good in it. Alhamdulillah, I went to a university that it matched the Western qualification, but at the end of the day, it benefited a huge amount. I benefited immensely from it. It's just not the end of the road. And you can argue on the other side that the academic way of, the sort of Western academic way of studying opened up studying to lots more people, because actually sitting to get ijazat is really hard. It's extremely hard, it's extremely tiring, you get nothing out of it except ajr from Allah Azza wa Jal. And at the end of it, when you ask for you try and get a job in something, they say you're not qualified. And subhanAllah, so to a certain extent, everything has its place and its time. But for those who really want a more traditional Islamic education, you can still get that. That's still there. You just have to go out and look for it. It's not on a plate anymore. It's not like in front of your door.
Exactly what you said. I mean, we need institutes which has it on the plate, not for the certificate, so that maybe.
Yeah, this is a very, very valid point. May Allah make it easy.
Another point is that when you said what are the things that put people off, is because they find it hard. I think that's not really what puts people off. It's because lack of usage. Because if you go to China, maybe Chinese language is more difficult for us, but if you stay there 6 months, you learn the Chinese. And it's much more.
There's an element of that, definitely. And also the shaitan, it doesn't care if you learn Chinese or not. But the shaitan doesn't want you to learn the language of the Quran, because he doesn't want you to get yourself from the darkness into the light. So that's also one thing. And also, as Muslims, we have a little bit of an inferiority. We have a lot of an inferiority complex, to be honest, where we have our eyes looking permanently west and, sort of trying to emulate everything that is there, instead of developing the knowledge within ourselves. That is a problem. But we have to still make use of what we have and try to inspire people. And one of the things I want to highlight here is, which I think is really important, is that the internet has opened a new opportunity to study. I can reach a sheikh in Mauritania, a sheikh in Egypt, a sheikh in Saudi, a sheikh in Pakistan, and I can reach them sitting from my own home. I'm not going to say the barakah is the same, but the point is there are opportunities that, Al-Imam al-Bukhari used to travel 60 days, 100 days, 90 days in order to get a hadith. I only have to travel as far as wherever my phone is and open Google. So the reality is there are things that have been made easy for us, but we have to take advantage of them, and that is a challenge for everybody.